In today's episode of Maha Voices, we speak with Matt Armstrong, a professor and a lifelong Democrat who was a Kennedy supporter that is now voting for Donald Trump. The stories of transformation have a similar thread to each: a people abused of their trust by a party that has insisted upon their moral superior vision of democracy, or one-party rule. Matt's words are impassioned and amazing, a breakup letter of the fiercest kind. Matt casts a clear vision of what it means to disavow a harmful orthodoxy at the risk of career, relationships, but for the grand ideal of country over party.
To the Democrats, this is my career suicide note, but it's also a thank you from someone who is done with careerism. I'm a lifelong member of your party, and I'm voting for Donald Trump. Why? It's not just your industrial-scale censorship or your endless wars or the fact that you disenfranchised millions of Kennedy voters. If that were all I had, it would be sufficient in terms of conscience and rage, but there's more to this story than anger. Your hatred and censorship has taught me to admire President Trump and to love my fellow working-class Americans, and for that, I thank you. This vote is for all the traumatized people who have been canceled and banished just for saying no to the establishment. This vote is for the surveyor, the farmer, the HVAC man, the nurse, the hairstylist, the deadhead, the veteran, and my fellow adjunct professors who have told me their stories about being bullied by the Democrats and their friends and family and their colleagues at work. This is for the young black woman in my class last year who, on the day of Kamala Harris's visit to campus, said,
"Oh, you're going to hate me, Dr. Armstrong, but I'm not going, I'm voting for Donald Trump."
Why would she think I would hate her for the way she votes? What has happened to our country? Somehow Donald Trump has changed my mind. Where I once saw a cartoon white supremacist, warmonger, and narcissist, I now see the man who renegotiated NAFTA, and the only president in the 21st century not to start a new war. Where I once saw the pal of the neocons, I now see a man who has awoken from his slumber and disavowed Dick Cheney, George Bush, and John Bolton, even as my own party embraces these men. Why has the greatest entrepreneur of my generation, Elon Musk, risked his career to side with Trump? Why has the most consequential grassroots environmentalist of my time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., sacrificed friends, family, and reputation to side with the Orange Menace? Why has the most courageous peace activist of the 21st century, Tulsi Gabbard, left our party? Because Tulsi, Bobby, and Elon see what I see. Donald Trump is resilient, and he's risking his life to change the fate of our nation. Trump is transforming the Republican Party into the party of peace, free speech, and the working class. He has converted George Bush's billionaire boys club of big war, big ag, and big pharma into a party that cares about public health and embraces regenerative agriculture. Now, I don't think the GOP is all the way there yet, but they're clearly the party that embraces dissent, and dissent, brave speech, is the fuel for evolution. So, for the first time in my life, I'm voting Republican. In the name of peace in Ukraine and free speech here at home, I'm casting my vote as a Kennedy Democrat for Donald Trump.
And after we pressure Mike Bloomberg to give more money, we will break $10 million. $10 million. Everyone look at Michael Bloomberg and tell him he should give more money. $10 million is pretty impressive, you know what I mean? I mean, granted, it could get you a studio apartment in Manhattan, which seems, expensive, especially considering you can get a mayor for 2 business class flights. Did I break I didn't think we had borders anymore. All right, let's go positive here. Can we have a round of applause for First Lady Melania Trump? Who presently has the #1 book in America. And by the way, Jesus taught us to forgive 7 times. Not 7 times, but 70 times 7. And Melania, you may be the first person to actually reach that. What's that? Oh, well, she surpassed it. Congratulations. You know, looking at this impressive dais of attendees up here, I never know how to address you people. Do you prefer, global elite or coastal elite? I know we live in sensitive times and I don't want to mislabel anyone. I'm personally excited to be up here, and not just because you make me look young and principled. This seating arrangement is weird, right? It looks like the plutocrats are about to play Family Feud. And the survey says, whatever you want. This dais, actually, let's be honest, this entire room is filled with some of the most powerful people in New York City, and Brian Kilmeade. Remember Brian, I told you? Brian and I started doing stand-up together, so we're friends, hopefully. Because this room is, I'm glad you guys have a sense of humor about this, because this room is undeniably impressive. It really is. The prestige, the wealth, the allegations. Wow. And don't feel bad if you don't have any allegations yet, okay? Which reminds me, Letitia James is here. She had a great year. She's just back there watching all of you. She's watching. By the way, can I point out that this is a very nimble thing that I'm trying to do, right? Because if I am too critical of Vice President Harris, I will, I will lose friendships and mess up my career. And if I am too critical of President Trump, I will lose friendships and improve my career. You know what I mean? We have an amazing, by the way, RFK Jr. is here. Welcome, sir. RFK Jr. He, of course, is going to make America, he's part of the MAGA, Make America Healthy Again, right? I don't know if he's seen what Donald Trump eats, but Donald Trump eats like, well, me and the Cardinal, okay? And anyway, now the prompter guy. I went off book a little bit here. So anyway, I'd like to also welcome Mayor Adams, brought to you by Turkish Airlines. I was told to say that. It's a sponsorship deal, people. I want you to know, if you are reelected, I always liked you. And I'm not saying that because I don't want to be sent to a labor camp. Well, I guess that's the reason, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring up a man who loves New York City. He is the Republican nominee and the 45th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you very much. It's an honor. And they told me under no circumstances are you allowed to use a teleprompter. And I got up here and I see this beautiful teleprompter. So here I am. But it is a tremendous thing. It's a tremendous dinner. I've come here with my father. So it was 3 times, but it was also many times before that, a long time ago, and it's a very special dinner. And you've done a fantastic job, Cardinal. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I'd like to thank Your Eminence very much, and members of the clergy, so many people I know, Speaker of the House Johnson, what a job you're doing. He's done a great job. Senator Schumer, good. Yeah, I supported him. I don't know. He used to say that's true, and now I'm not sure he would, but I gave him his first check from an office in Beach Haven, and I was very proud of it. I don't know about lately. No, I was. It was his first check. He was running, and I said, he's a good man. Senator Gillibrand, thank you very much. Thank you very much for working hard. Governor Hochul, wherever you may be up, this is a big day, right? Where is the governor? Good job. It's not an easy one, is it? But you're doing all right. We have to get a little money from the federal government, I have to tell you. It's about time. It's about time. Mayor Adams, good luck with everything. They went after you. They went after you, Mayor. Yeah, boy, I do that. 9.5 months ago, I said, he just said something about the administration. He's going to be indicted any moment. And guess what happened? But you're going to win. I think you're going to win. I know you're going to win. So good luck. Good luck. I don't like what they do. And also distinguished, got so many friends up here. It's great. A lot of great friends. Some of my best friends. And you are right, they are distinguished and they are wealthy for the most part. A couple are having a hard time, but they're going to get over it. I also want to thank my very beautiful wife, and thank you for mentioning, but can you believe this? She did a book, and it's a really good book, and she worked hard on it, and it just became #1 on the New York Times list, so I think that's okay. That's not an easy thing to do, especially when your name is Trump and you're on the New York Times list. That must be selling like hotcakes. But thank you for mentioning. I appreciate it. Good job you did. It's a true pleasure to be with you this evening. Amazing pleasure. And these days, it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance. Anytime I don't get a subpoena, I'm very happy. They've gone after me, Mr. Mayor. You're peanuts compared to what they've done to me. And you're going to be okay. But I have to be careful, however, to understand that this will be the first time in the history of this event where jokes will be fact-checked, and they will be. And they will be. It's been a long tradition for both Democrat and Republican candidates for President of the United States to attend this dinner. It's a rule. You got to go to the dinner. You got to do it. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen to you from up there. You can't do what I just saw on that screen. But my opponent feels like she does not have to be here, which is deeply disrespectful to the event and in particular to our great Catholic community. Very disrespectful. The last Democrat not to attend this important event was Walter Mondale, and it did not go very well for him. He lost 49 states and he won 1, Minnesota. So I said, there's no way I'm missing it. Actually, it was not easy for me to get here tonight. Because I wasn't going to miss this thing, no matter, I didn't care. I wasn't going to miss it. But that's true, Walter Mondale, 49-1. He was expected to do well, and it didn't work out. It shows you there is a God. I mean, for those people that are questioning it. I understand the real reason that she's not here is she's hunting with her running mate, spending a lot of time hunting. In any event, it's a weird. You know the word weird. They call me weird. They call JD weird. We're very solid people. This guy is calling us weird, but this was weird that the Democrat candidate is not here and with us tonight. I want to also congratulate somebody's going to make us all healthy. RFK Jr., we love you. I don't see him. He's campaigning all over the place. He's campaigning. You're all over. Hello, you both. Nice to see you both. Doing a good job. He's a great guy, too. He really is. He's going to make us a healthier place. We're going to let him go wild for a little while, then I'm going to have to maybe rein him back. Because he's got some pretty wild ideas, but most of them are really good, I think. He's a good man, and he believes the environment, the healthy people. He wants healthy people. He wants healthy food, and he's going to do it. He's going to have a big chance to do it because we do need that. I would not have missed the Al Smith dinner for anything in the world. I still remember coming here as a very young guy with my father, Fred. He was a great guy, my father. He was a tough cookie, but he had a very big heart. Anytime we'd walk down the street, and you don't see it too much anymore, there'd be people standing with tin cans, and he would always take out $100 and put it in that can. And I always thought it was beautiful. And frankly, I even think more so now it was beautiful, because nowadays you don't see it so much. But I miss him, and we used to come here very religiously. And a great New York tradition has been born 79 years ago. It was born 79 years ago, and there are some people that were here for almost that length. I know many of them, and it's not a pretty picture. Not a pretty picture. The two candidates for president are supposed to exchange good-natured barbs, and you know we get along very well. I didn't like Biden very much, and now I like him quite a bit. You know, and now I say that she's much worse than him. He was a much better candidate than her, actually. And when we hopefully win, dispose of her, I like her a lot, but right now I can't stand her. It's true. I can't stand. I've never liked people that I was competing against. When you do, a lot of bad things happen. And we are doing well. By the way, the votes are starting to come in. You got to get out and vote. And Catholics, you got to vote for me. Just remember. You better remember I'm here, and she's not. I could have done that too. But you do something that's incredible. The Catholic Church, you're helping the poor, educating children, and supporting the vulnerable. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here. Guaranteed. She would have been okay. She would have been okay with that. But I know this isn't my normal crowd tonight, because it just isn't. It's not my normal crowd. Believe me, my normal crowd is younger, has a lot more energy, but you have certain advantages too, like cash, lots of cash. But many of you are Manhattan liberals from the media and the Democrat Party. I always say the Democrat, you know, Chuck doesn't like that. He likes Democratic, and it sounds much more beautiful, the Democratic Party. I always say the Democrat Party because it sounds worse. It is true. He likes Democratic. Why don't they just change the name? This way, you know, it is Democrat. But I must say I was shocked when I heard that Kamala was skipping the Al Smith dinner. I'd really hoped that she would come, because we can't get enough of hearing her beautiful laugh. She laughs like crazy. We would recognize it any place in this room, and all polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be, But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. But Catholics, please don't be too insulted by Kamala's absence. If the Democrats, thank you very much, I appreciate it. If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden. You know, he's having second thoughts, you know that, right? He wants to come back. If she does any worse in the polls, they're going to bring him back again, I think. Chuck, he's going to do it. He's the one that got him out. That's the guy. Much more so than Crazy Nancy, I will tell you, because I know him. He did it. Joe has almost disappeared from view. The only way he could be seen less is if he had a show on CNN. They had nothing. They've got nothing. Fake news, right? Fake. That term wasn't good. You know, they say that term is no longer in vogue because it's much worse than fake. I don't want to tell you what the real name is. I won't do it because all those cameras would shut off immediately. They don't like that. But apparently Joe didn't think it was fair for me to have the podium to myself with Kamala skipping the event. So he called, looked at me, and said, "Don't." Does anybody understand that? Yeah. I thought it was actually very good until just now. It was announced this morning that at a funeral yesterday, in a rare moment of clarity, Joe told Barack Hussein Obama that, quote, only a few people got that. Or as Rush Limbaugh used to say, Barack Hussein Obama. Remember, bro? He was a piece of work. We miss him. But as he told Barack Hussein Obama, quote, "She's not as strong as me. She's not as strong. Do you understand that?" And Obama agreed, saying, "That's true. Other than that, I think the Democrats are getting along quite well." Right? Nobody got that one. The fact is, we need new leadership in this country. Right now, we have someone in the White House who can barely talk, barely put together two coherent sentences, who seems to have mental faculties of a child, it's said. There's a person that has nothing going, no intelligence whatsoever, but enough about Kamala Harris. Let's get on to something else. I know Kamala's word because she spends a lot of time complaining. I won't agree to another debate. But the truth is, I've debated twice this year, once against Joe Biden and once against David Muir of ABC. That was amazing, 11 times. None for the other side. Do you think that's fair news? I don't think so. That's fake news. I don't know what's going to happen 3 weeks from now. It's going to be very interesting. It just started. It's actually, isn't it sort of exciting? Right? It really, isn't it just exciting what's going on? It's a process. It's a rough process, too. Not so pretty, and yet sometimes very beautiful. But the press is reporting the Democrats are starting to panic. They're panicking. They are panicking because, you know, the votes that are coming in very, very strong, a certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. And I actually said, "Do you mind if I do that?" And he said, "No, you got to do what you got to do." He's a pro. He's a professional. No, he's a good man, actually. I hate to say it. Don't ever use it against me, please. They'll say, "This dinner was really setting me back," when I say that. But I've known him a long time. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me. And as you may have seen, Kamala did an interview on Fox News yesterday. It went so poorly for her that the Democrats have been forced to install another 100 drop boxes throughout the city. And the upside really is Kamala now sees the benefit of deportation. She wants to deport people. She's vicious. She wants to deport people, and she wants to start by deporting Bret Baier of Fox. It's an interesting interview last night. Huh? A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep him away. That's a nasty one. That's nasty. I told these idiots that gave me this stuff, that's too tough. Oh, I did, you know, they told me the last time I did this, I was running against Crooked Hillary. And, I mean Hillary. No, I was running against crooked Hillary, and I did it. And I thought it was a roast. So I was told it's a roast. And I had the meanest guy you've ever seen write stuff up. And man, was the room angry. Even the Cardinal remembers. I went overboard. Don't you agree, Cardinal? It was like terrible. And I knew I was in trouble around midway through because, you know, people had not, even my own side was angry at me. They were saying, it's too much. But I did it anyway. I didn't give it. Campaigning can take a toll on a family and family life, although I hear that Kamala and her husband carve out some really beautiful alone time at the end of the day for an intimate dinner, just Doug, her, and a teleprompter that she uses quite well. And by the way, she wouldn't have liked this tonight if she was told about no teleprompter. I can't believe I saw a teleprompter. They said they've never had a teleprompter in the history of this dinner. I told that to the Cardinal, right? And then a teleprompter pops up for, he must be a very important comedian to get that. They give you one, but not me. How about that one? Huh? Come here. Yeah, and you did a good job. Tradition holds that I'm supposed to tell a few self-deprecating jokes this evening. So here it goes. Nope, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. There's nothing to say. I guess I just don't see the point of taking shots at myself when other people have been shooting at me for a hell of a long time and they shoot hard. You know, they say about presidents, they say that Andrew Jackson was the president that was the most meanly treated. His wife died. She died of heartache. She was heartbroken at the way they treated him. And they say that second was Abraham Lincoln, but he was in charge of a civil war, you know. So, but those were the two, Andrew Jackson. Up until me, now they say it's not even close. There's never been a president that's been treated so badly as me, and our people aren't happy about it. But I was treated a little bit rough. But I don't mind it somehow, and I think it's just part of the game. I'd like to thank our MC this evening, Jim Gaffigan. Most recently, Jim has been playing Tim Waltz on Saturday Night Live. And that'll be a very short gig, I hope, Jim. But it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Let's see how that lasts. It better be quick. We don't want him, and I'm not going to say anymore. But unfortunately, Governor Waltz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was. I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Waltz. The stupid show, The View, is so bad now that the other day I was watching it and thinking to myself, you know what? They really need to bring Rosie O'Donnell back. That show is bad. Those people are bad. I know every one of them, and they are bad news, I want to tell you. And it doesn't do very well either. I always like to say, ratings are very important. When they don't do well, it doesn't do very well. As I look around the dais, I see all of the usual suspects. For instance, Mayor Adams. I'd like to poke some fun at Eric, but I'm going to be nice. I just want to be nice because I know what it's like to be persecuted by the DOJ for speaking out against open borders. We were persecuted, Eric. I was persecuted, and so are you, Eric. The mayor's dietary restrictions are well known, but I've got to say, I've never met a person who's a vegan who liked turkey so much. There's something about him with turkey. I just found that out today. I haven't been in New York that much. Don't let it, but you're going to win, Eric. We have another former New York City mayor with us, frankly, easily the worst in our history. And it's not Michael, that I can tell you. I'm surprised that Bill de Blasio was actually able to make it tonight, to be honest. He was a terrible mayor. I don't give a shit if this is comedy or not. He was a terrible mayor. He did a horrible job. That's not comedy, by the way, that's fact. But unlike the rest of New York, at least Bill doesn't have to worry about the criminals. They owe him big. He let them get away with a lot of stuff. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. That's right, they've reserved many rooms, a lot of rooms, too many rooms. But in all seriousness, it's an honor to be here to support the city and the community. It's a great community that I love. I've been here a long time and I love it. And then it's going to make a big comeback, and I'm going to help it make a comeback. I'm going to win, and I'm going to make a comeback. We're going to turn this thing around. And I want to pay tribute to a really incredible man, a man who was a tremendous politician. And actually, the fact that he was Catholic it probably did him in, right? It probably, nobody knows for sure. But he was a great guy, Al Smith, great guy. Everyone says it, happy warrior. I've said before that I'll say it again as many times as I have to, directly to the mayor and the governor. If I have the honor to be elected next month, we're going to see what happens. It's happening so fast, but if I have the honor, I look forward to working together to make this city greater than ever before. We're going to do that. We're going to be focused on. I'll work with the governor. I'll work with the mayor, Democrats. I will work with them. I work with whoever I have to, and we will even work very hard to bring back the SALT tax deduction. We're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back. We're going to get that thing going, Chuck, okay? I actually thought about not doing jokes tonight. I was going to come out here and say, listen, our country is doing very badly. This is not about jokes. And then some person said, you have to do jokes. I said, I don't want to. There's nothing funny about what's happening to our country. And I actually meant that. I was going to do that, but they convinced me to say some of the things I said tonight. I don't know if they were funny or not, but hey, you think this is easy standing up here and doing this? In front of half a room that hates my guts and the other half loves me? Half of us love me. Well, maybe it's, I think 75% love me. But I actually do. I did think about that, and our country is doing very badly with respect to its open borders and inflation, crushing things happening in the Middle East and Ukraine. It's so sad to see what's happening in Ukraine. Wow. I had a lot of people very religious people come up to me tonight from Ukraine, and they're asking me for help. So sad to see so many people have been killed in Ukraine, and we're going to get it settled up if we win. As I'm president-elect, I'm going to get that done. I'm going to do it before we ever get back. We have to get it stopped. Too much killing. It's killing, and all of those cities are coming crashing down. Those beautiful golden domes are crashing down on their sides. They're so sad to see. The whole thing is so sad. So we're going to be, for all those people, there's so many people came up to the dais, and religious people from Ukraine, and I'm going to say, and I told them, don't worry, we're going to get it stopped. It's too bad it ever started. It should have never started. It wouldn't have started. But we're going to have our country respected again. We're going to make sure that it's respected, and we're going to go out and do very good things for ourselves as a country and for the world. These are challenging times for our beautiful USA. But I'm committed to working with every partner here in New York and all across the nation to build an America that once again is strong and safe and proud and prosperous and free. We're going to make sure together we can create a future defined by great ambitions and grand achievements that once again inspires the dreams of our children, brings back the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore. We're going to make it possible for them to have the American dream. This is a very religious evening to me. It really is. It represents so much. My sister was somebody that loved the church and gave to the church. The cardinal knew that. Had a certain priest that she thought was incredible, right? A certain very, very fine man that she thought was incredible. Having recently, myself, survived 2 assassination attempts. I survived. I have a chart that went down to the right. Fortunately, I looked at, it's my all-time favorite piece of paper. But it went down, and I looked to the right, and I said, you know, was that luck? what was that, luck, or was that God that did that? And I think it was God that did that. I do. But I have a very fresh, Cardinal, I have a very fresh appreciation for how blessed we are by God's providence and his divine mercy. I mean, that was something, I was not supposed to be here tonight. That I can tell you. So with God's help, I know there is nothing that cannot be achieved. We can achieve so much good with this country and get together and unify. I want to thank the Al Smith Foundation for its noble work, and I want to express my tremendous gratitude to the Catholic community. It's a great community. It's a community I've gotten along with all my life. I tell you, when I was president, I was in the Oval Office and I got a call from the Cardinal. And he said, we need help. It was during the China virus. I want to be accurate when I describe it. And he said, we need help. Our schools are in devastating shape. They needed much more than $1 billion. I won't even tell you the number, but much more than $1 billion. But I've known the community and I've known the schools. I know so many people that were educated in the Catholic school system. And they are great, and they just speak with it like with love, much more so than almost any system that I've seen. And he said, sir, we have a big problem. We need a number of billions of dollars, or we're going to have to close down the New York school system, the whole system in New York. And I said, give me 15 minutes. I think I can find it. And we gave him billions of dollars. And you know what? He stayed open, and they thrived. And to this day, I hear you did just about the best job there is in education. So, and that was always an honor. That was always. And every time he sees me, he says, thank you very much. I said, I know what you're talking about, but we worked together. We were a good partnership, right? We got that money in about 15 minutes, billions, and it was put to very good use. But I just want to thank everybody. This is a special evening. It's a very serious evening, I think. We have some serious problems in the world, but they're going to get solved, and we're going to make America great again. And thank you very much, and God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Trump. This concludes our first half of the program.
Well, you know what? We said he was going to be here, and he's just walked into the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, we should probably all stand up. Donald Trump is in the house,
Hey,
and
Mr.
here he
President,
is.
nice to see
Come on
you.
over.
Quick turnaround.
We've got a
Great to
place
see
for you.
That was very quick.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. President. How are you? Good to see you. Come get
Hey,
my
Mr.
job. We'll
President,
sit you right here in the
sit
middle.
right over here. I'm the official audio guy for today.
You have
Mr. President, welcome back.
you have so many jammers with you. We can't even use.
I know, we have to use these hard lines.
Let's put it right
jammers.
here,
I do.
like that.
Okay.
Very good.
Good job. Wow.
All right.
Glad you're
And
here.
we'll all sit down. 3, 2, 1. There we go. How are you?
I'm good. This is very nice.
Big night last night.
I've never sat in the middle.
It's great,
I've
right?
always
I don't think
sat on
anyone,
the
no
first.
one sat in the middle.
I've never seen anybody sitting in
You've
the
got the
middle.
really good light.
This is good lighting. How do we look? Oh, not so good.
Mr. President, don't you always do that first? The biggest interview, the smallest, the first thing you look at, you grab the lights. You go, move that pole over. You come over here.
You're a producer.
Lighting is very important. No, let's turn down the lights. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, what did you think of
nice
last
room,
night? What did you think of last
I
night?
thought it was great. I thought, you know, it was for the Catholic Church, really, and for a lot of good people, a lot of good causes. And unusually, she didn't show up. You would have thought she would have shown up last night. You were surprised. We were all surprised. But they told me it's only teleprompter for the comedian. I said, give me the comedian. No. I didn't get, so I had to do it sort of like, and I liked it better. I think I liked it better. But, you know, when I went, I said, is this a teleprompter speech? And I had a pretty long speech. And they said, sir, we don't use teleprompter. Then I get up there to see the comedian using it. And he was good, too, by the way.
Jim Gaffigan's funny.
I thought he was good, yeah.
You know, Kamala Harris did not show up, as you know.
Yeah,
She sent a video from Saturday Night Live. You know, we have seen historically a lot of Democrats, they turn to the guys at Saturday Night Live or The Tonight Show. They write all their material. Your material was real funny. Who wrote it? Who helped you with it?
Well, I've had a lot of people helping. A couple of people from Fox, actually. I shouldn't say that, but they wrote some jokes. And for the most part, I didn't like any of them. But I got up.
Should we see some highlights? I think you did great.
Go ahead.
Watch.
Roll tape.
Catholic Church, you're helping the poor, educating children, and supporting the vulnerable. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here. Guaranteed. It's a true pleasure to be with you this evening. Amazing pleasure. And these days, it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance. Anytime I don't get a subpoena, I'm very happy. But unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was. But I have to be careful, however, to understand that this will be the first time in the history of this event where jokes will be fact-checked, and they will be. All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be, But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer.
That
Mr.
was funny.
President,
That was
you
funny.
had a balance because you got to tell these jokes, but you're sitting next to people that don't like you at all.
Chuck Schumer's
so how
right
was
there.
that?
You know, I know him very well. I guess he doesn't like, but he likes me enough. It's a little bit, it's hard to explain. You know, I gave him his first check. When he was young, I was young. It was his first check. I don't know if that good or bad, but it was the first check that he ever got. He was running for, I think, Assembly up in New York, and he got it from me. So
So we should blame you for the rise of
Yeah,
Chuck Schumer.
right.
It's all on
blame me
you.
for
Right.
Defeating Al
What-
D'Amato.
It was New York.
What did Mayor Adams say to you? Because y'all, I mean, he's a Democrat, you're a Republican, but you can relate because of these subpoenas. Letitia James, she was in the back row.
the weaponization. No, it's look. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. I say it. But Adams, he came out against the immigrants, you know, against the destruction of New York, frankly. He did the right thing. I said, he will be indicted within 6 months. And he was. They indicted him. Now, I don't know if it's legit. I haven't looked at it. But it seems very suspicious when he comes out against something they're doing. They're destroying the country. They are destroying our country. He was right. I go down the streets of New York. I went down the streets of New York 2 days ago, and I'm looking at migrants all over Madison Avenue, all over Fifth Avenue. I've never seen anything like it. I'll tell you, I've never seen. This is New York. You see empty stores. You never saw empty stores on Madison Avenue. You never see them. It's a shame. He did the right thing, but he got indicted, and they play weaponization. These are an evil group of people. These are really a bad group of people. I'm doing well with my stuff. I won in Florida. I'm winning all over the place. But, you know, what they want to do is keep him busy. Let me spend plenty of money fighting it and let him maybe. But I think so far it's backfired because the public understands. The win in Florida, that was the big case. That was the case, oh, you're going to lose. Now, he actually lost because he had documents, but he didn't have the presidential.
The documents case
Yeah.
in Florida.
It was the documents case. That was, like they say, the big one. I don't know what's the big one, but the big one. And we had a very brilliant judge, a very fair judge, and I won the case. I won the whole thing. He didn't win. They said he was grossly incompetent, and based on that, they're not going to charge him. But the funny is, he can be president, but he can't go to court. They say he can't go to court because he's incompetent. So he can't go to court, so that's okay, but he's allowed to be president. So there's something wrong with our country when that happens. But I thought last night's it
was great.
I think it was terrible that she missed it because it's only been one person missed it in many years, and that's Walter Mondale, and he lost 49-1.
But let me ask you, why do you think she
God
missed it?
was not with him.
Mr. President, why do you think she missed it? There's a lot of theories.
Okay, I think that she's not competent. I don't want to say this kind of stuff, but we can't live with this. We're not going to be able to live
So you
with
don't
it.
think she's funny?
I don't think she's funny. I don't look her staff. She's got 5% of her staff stayed with her. 95% quit. If that happened to me, I'd be front page of every. Nobody likes her. Nobody wants to be with her. And I only say this. I don't like even saying it, but we can't have her as a president. She's a Marxist. We're not ready for a Marxist. Do you agree with that, Nancy?
I do agree with you.
And
I think
Angela's
a Marxist.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
And she's not very good. Let's face it.
Closing argument time, because we're only
Yeah.
2.5 weeks until the election. So this is the final, this is it. So she realized joy, that's not working for them. So
Not
now
working too well.
they've changed it. Now they're ramping up their rhetoric. And when she sat down with Bret Baier, she said, talking about you, he's unstable. When she was speaking at a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania, she called you unstable and unhinged. And then in this new ad that they've rolled out, she's saying unhinged, more unstable, and unchecked. And then this caller that called into Charlemagne the God, his Breakfast Club show, this caller says, I have a sneaking suspicion that if Trump wins, he's going to use this law to put anyone that doesn't look white in camps. And I'm scared. And she says, yeah. So you've hit on a really important point. What is your response and what is your closing argument?
Well, first of all, the question is a pretty rough question because, you're giving this whole argument of this woman that I don't think she knows where she is. She's a low IQ person. She's not smart. Everyone knows that. Didn't even pass her law exam. It was a big thing. She never thought she was going to be able to pass it. If you tell me this stuff, I'll say it. I am a person that they are a threat to democracy. These people are misinformation people. They'll say, let's go out with this one. They've tried many different things. They tried, he's a dictator. He's going to take over the whole world. He's a this. Every week they try something else. So far it hasn't worked. I guess that's the attack they have for this week. It doesn't seem to be working. I am the most stable human being. Remember they said a stable genius. I am the most stable human being. I've been doing this for a long time. We had 4 years of greatness. We had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest border. Brian, you were down there.
Absolutely.
We had a border that was the best we've ever had in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. I built 551 miles of wall, which is far more than I said I was going to build when I campaigned. I had a border where the drugs were at the lowest level, the human traffickers in women, they traffic in women. Everything was at the lowest level. I got kudos from, the Border Patrol gave me, with thousands of people, unanimous, every single one.
They endorsed you, Mr. President.
They endorsed me. What can you do better than that?
And, Mr. President, you're gaining with minorities. And, I've been going across the country to these barbershops. Yesterday, you said you wanted to go. So we went to the Bronx yesterday. Here's a little bit of what we saw at the barbershop.
You guys are the same as me. It's the same stuff. We were born the same way. I grew up in Queens and all of that. I mean, it's. I had a great father. I had a father who was a great guy. He was tough but good, big heart, big heart. And he was a construction guy, pretty much, and a real estate guy. And I learned a lot from him. He was great. But I know you people so well. Without knowing you, I know you so well. When I walked in here, I said, this is home territory.
So, Mr. President, we're going to play the full thing on Monday, but what was that experience like? There was so much love in the room.
It was like people that I grew up with, actually. All different types, everything perfect. The area was incredible. The traffic, there were thousands and many thousands of people standing outside this barbershop. The owner was great with the son. The son is actually the owner. He's already made that passage. But the people were fantastic. We could have stayed there for 2 hours, right? It was great.
Why do you think they're giving you a shot? They haven't voted for Republicans in years like this. So what are you doing on the ground differently that is attracting black men, Hispanic men?
I just saw a Hispanic poll where I'm at 52%. Nobody's ever seen that before. Republicans never been there before. I'm at 52%. And with black men, I'm at 32% and 31%. This is sort of throwing their formulas off a little bit. This is a little bit of a change. But look, we ran a great country. We had everything going. The world respected us. We had no wars. This group will cause us World War III. They have no idea what they're doing. And, I hate to talk that way, but we can't let this woman get in. It's two people, and she's and you talk about unstable. She's a whack job. And how about the vice president? How about Waltz? I mean, he's not qualified to be doing this. He is. I mean, you have to look at the vice president very seriously. And you compare him and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, #1 at Yale, the whole thing. I mean, high academic. J.D. is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and he was with us on the yesterday. Joined us from the Washington D.C. area. One of the things about Fox and Friends, we've been doing the show for like 28 years. But one of the biggest days was the day you became president, and we actually got to do the very first interview at the White House after you were sworn in. And it was a great interview, and it made a lot of news. Ainsley asked a great question in 2017, and we're gonna get in the Wayback Machine, Mr. President. We're gonna play that for you, and then we're gonna update the question.
But you know the difference? In the old days, you never played negative ads. In other words, when I leave here, I'll then be hit by 5 or 6 ads. And in the old days, you never had Ian
Fox
Sams.
News?
Yeah. Well, in the old days. But in the old days, which wasn't so... when I leave, I'll have 12 people from Kamala on, and, you know, pretty much unopposed. For 19 days, I don't think we should do that anymore. I think you shouldn't play negative ads. It's very tough. You do a show, and I complain all the time about it. I loved complaining. I love complaining. I like to have everything perfect. But when I leave here, I'll have 200 people from
Because they buy time on Fox.
and, you know, by the time you do it, you say, what are you doing? It's sort of a net, net neutral. Well, we'll see what happens.
This is not an ad. This is actually, here we are in the East Room of the White House, your president, 2017. Ainsley's got a great question for you.
Thank you.
Watch this.
What grade would you give yourself from an A to an F?
Well,
I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, let's hear it.
I think, yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. I think in terms of effort, which means something, but I give myself an A+. Okay, effort. But that's, you know, results are more important. In terms of messaging, I would give myself a C or a C+.
And that surprised us. So here we are, years later. I don't remember those young people right there.
I know.
What kind of a grade would you give yourself for the campaign thus far? You got 2.5 more weeks.
So look, I've had 3 campaigns, and I won the first one. I did much better in the second one, getting millions more votes. And this one, I can say there's more enthusiasm, and we had a lot of enthusiasm for both. You know, I won. We got 10 to 12 million votes more the second time, which is a lot. Never happened before. I think this is the best campaign. So
A for effort?
Oh, for effort.
What about for...
Nobody works
What
like
about for
me.
the message?
I think I have to go higher than an A.
So what about messaging?
Well, message, I'll have to tell you that in, you know, on the 6th, I think.
All about results.
Because I don't know. I think it's all about results. I mean, the message, I think I'm saying, look, the message is we're going to do a great job. We're not going to get into wars. We're not going to have a third world war. So importantly, we're going to have a strong border. We're going to have the greatest economy. We're going to bring back the economy. We're not going to have inflation. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get energy prices down at least 50% in 1 year.
Right.
And I'll put that on your show so you can interview me in a year if I don't do it. But we're going to bring energy prices down. That's going to bring the inflation and the costs down. Now, we're going to make this thing really good. We're going to bring a lot of companies back in to the U.S. Jobs are going to be good. Everything is going to be good. And everything was good when we had the greatest economy in the history of the country 5 years ago. Go back in. 5 years ago, we had the greatest economy in the history of the country. And now we have a horrible economy from the standpoint that inflation ruined. I had no inflation. Inflation ruined the economy, just ruined it. And I gave them inflation-free. I gave them almost no inflation. And it carried on for 2 years. And then they went out and borrowed like $7 trillion, which was so stupid to do. And when they borrowed that, it all blew up. The other thing they did is they blew up the energy policy. I had the best energy policy this country has ever had. We were energy independent. We will soon be energy independent and energy dominant. We'll be selling all over the world.
So I watched your Univision, your Univision town hall, and one thing stood out to me. They said one of the questions was, "Hey, what would you like to do again? What would you do different?" He goes, "Well, I probably wouldn't have hired some of the people I hired. So I want to just look forward." So as people have 18 days, they're going to vote, and as Jim Gaffigan said, I can't believe anybody's undecided at this point.
I know.
But let's say votes. Can you give people?
True.
That was a great line. Can you give people a vision of what your cabinet will look like? Can you throw out some of the names? Because you don't need a binder from Chris Christie or Jared Kushner. No. You know it. So can you give people out there who you're going to be making a rough... You could easily punt on this question. I hope you won't. An idea of what your team will look like.
Well, a lot of the people that you had last night will be a part of it. We had some tremendous people. In that room really had some great people.
Wait, Cardinal Dolan?
Oh, I'd put him in, right?
Right?
Honestly, and he looked good. He lost weight. He looked nice and thin. I said,
the
"What are you
nicest
doing?"
guy, isn't he?
Right? No, he's
Love
a
him.
great guy, and that's why I did it to a large. You know, by the way, he called me during COVID, and he said the Catholic Church needs billions of dollars to keep the school going. And the schools are, they run great schools. And I got him the money during COVID, and I think it meant a lot to him. I think it meant a lot to the Catholic people. I got him $1.7 billion, and they had a great school system during COVID, and they kept it open.
I know I did a feature with him then. I know you're doing the weave, so you always come back. So just to the question, can you throw some names out of the people?
I thought I got out of it.
No, you told me the weave. You told me about the weave.
No, it's all about the weave. Sometimes I get, they say, it's either genius, it's so brilliant, I go from here, and then but you always come right back to where it's supposed to be.
I just want you to complete
Some say it's
weave.
total genius. Some say, well, what's going on here? No, it's pretty good, I tell you. Look, I think it's a little bit early. I have great people at every position, but I don't like talking about...
Have you pre-thought it?
Like maybe every minute of every day.
You said RFK Jr.
Oh, he's going to be a part of it.
Doug
He
Burgum.
had a big impact because he's very much into women's health, and he's very much into the environment, which a lot of people like. People really like him. He looked good last night.
He's in very good shape.
Yeah, he is in good shape. I saw the pictures of him with the whole thing.
And you don't take your shirt off and bench press if you're not in good shape.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Hey, so you got a question?
I do it. Would you like me to do it?
I would like you to do that.
It seems that
One day.
we know Pennsylvania, Michigan, two very important states. It looks like this might come down to Pennsylvania. Elon Musk has been there campaigning for you. Why do you think he is so vocal and such an avid supporter?
Well, he said that if we don't win, this country is finished. He actually says it. He says, that they are the threat to democracy. They're all about sound bites, and these people are sick. They have people. I talk about the enemy from within. What person wants to have open borders? What person wants to have men playing in women's sports? All of this stuff, it doesn't make sense. It's no good. It's horrible. But they have an open border. They're going to always have an open border. So they let 21 million people into our country. Of the 21 million, 13,000 were murderers, 13,099 to be exact. Drug deal, and this is all over the world. This isn't just South America. Drug dealers came in. Everybody's coming in. They emptied their jails from all over the world. They emptied their jails into our beautiful country. We have a problem. I mean, we have to straighten it out. We have to get these people out. They empty jails from all over the world. Jails. In those jails, you have dealers, you have murderers, you have gang members. They took all their gangs in Venezuela, dumped them into the United States. Venezuela crime is down 72%. Because their criminals are in the United States, and it's going down further.
So, Mr. President, how do you handle that? Because you're right. They're here. You see Trinidad Agua taking over apartment complex.
Read the New York Post.
Although ABC says, it's just a handful of apartment
Can you
complexes.
believe it?
How would you like them in your
the
community?
Democrats say, well, it's not that bad. They've taken over big sections of the town with weapons that the Army doesn't
So,
even
Mr.
have.
President, after you get rid of the criminals, you wipe out all the gangs, all the people that are raping people in this country, the sexual assault, you get rid of them in the country. You get ICE funded, and they're deported.
By the way,
how do you handle
it's a
the
big
rest?
proportion
It
of
is
the
a huge
people.
proportion.
It's a
How
big-
do you handle the next portion?
Okay,
the
then we
people that
then
broke the law to come in here, but
then we start thinking.
Okay.
Then we start thinking, because look, you're talking about millions of people. You're talking about 21 million people in 3 years. Just so you know, they will let this happen. If they win the election, they're going to open up the border, and the border is going to be open for 4 years. You'll have 200 million people come in.
Right.
We have no idea. They tend to be not the best for a reason, because the countries send them out. The countries are not sending their best people out. I've been saying this for a long time. They're not sending their best.
Your very first speech,
Because
you said
it's-
they're not sending in their
It's
best.
common sense, Brian.
So-
when a country sends people out, they're not saying, hey, let's take our best people and send them to the U.S. They're sending their rapists. They're sending their murderers. We have a big country. Look at what's happening in Springfield, Ohio. Look at what's happening, though, in Aurora. Aurora is amazing. Do you know there are many Auroras right now, but you haven't heard about them?
San Antonio, we just interviewed a man running for Congress down there, said this is happening at an apartment complex down there.
It's only going to get worse.
So let's talk about when you look at the positives.
By the way, Brian, they're destroying our country. Destroying this country.
I know they took over Randall's Island. The kids can't even play soccer. They just took over.
I looked at. I'm telling you, I drove down Madison Avenue. First time I've ever seen vacant stores, and I see migrants from foreign countries The people that came in,
Yeah.
they're sleeping all over the streets.
Can I get you that? When you look at your positives, obviously with men, it's through the roof. You're making gains in Hispanics, blacks. I understand that. But when the doors close and the team sits around you, they say, Mr. President, you got to do better with women. That's where where the Kamala Harris is excelling with women. Is one move to get women on your side is to get Ivanka out, Melania out, and especially Nikki Haley out in these final 18 days. Is that something that's coming out of your strategy session?
Look, I think I do very well with women, and I think it's all nonsense. I see the polls, and we do well.
What about the
You
Nikki
have one
Haley?
issue. You have the issue of abortion. Without abortion, the women love me. Now, they like me anyway because what I've done is so good. I've taken this issue out of the federal government and put it back to the states where they're voting. And I believe in exceptions, and most people do, for rape and rape, incest, life of the mother. But I've done so, and I think I've taken
right.
an issue.
So could I amend my
'Cause
question?
Let me just say, that issue has torn our country apart for 52 years. No legal scholar, no Democrat, Republican, no liberal, conservative wanted it to be in Congress. They wanted it to be out of the federal government. I got it out through 6 very brave judges who were also brilliant. And now they're voting. Ohio voted, and it's actually a very liberal vote. Kansas, very liberal vote. But people are voting. They wanted it to be in the states and a vote of the people. But that issue, maybe some women.
Okay.
But they're going to find.
I'm going to do
the
a subset
country's
of that
gonna-
question.
Well, the country's coming together now over that. And they're getting to vote. They're actually voting on the issue.
There's a segment of the Republican Party that likes Nikki Haley, and they are reluctant to jump into your column. She wants to help. She said, if he calls me, I'm there. You guys used to be tight. In the last 18 days, will you call her and say, come out with me?
Yeah, I'll do what I have to do. But let me just tell you, Nikki Haley and I fought, and I beat her by 50, 60, 90 points. I beat her in her own state by numbers that nobody's ever been beaten by. I beat Nikki badly. I beat everyone else, too, badly. Frankly, I set records, both in speed and in the magnitude of the win. And everybody keeps saying that. They don't say get Ron, and Ron did very well. But again, I beat everybody by numbers that have never happened before. And they keep talking about Nikki. I like Nikki. Nikki, I don't think should have done what she did, and that's fine that she did it. But even in her own state, in South Carolina, where she was the governor, I beat her by a number that nobody ever heard of, by 50 points or something. And then they say, oh, when is Nikki coming back in? Nikki is in. Nikki is helping us already. But it's just, people keep saying, when are you bring? They don't say, when are you bringing this one? Everybody is in, and Nikki is already in. You know, she's out campaigning. And Elon Musk is look, I watched a rocket ship land 4 days ago.
That was stunning.
I watched our rocket ship. You talk about people. This guy is unbelievable. I was on the phone. I'm talking to somebody on the phone, and I'm half falling asleep. An important guy, but a very boring guy. And I'm like this. And the television's sort of like the sound is off. And I see this massive, like 20 story, things like 20 stories tall. And I'm looking. I thought it was a space movie or something.
Yeah.
This guy is so brilliant. And I watch it come down, and you can see it's still in good shape, but it's burned to hell because it was traveling at 10,000 miles an hour. So it's like a piece of fire. And it's coming down. And I said, oh, man, that's going to crash into the gantry.
This is not good.
Right?
Right.
And I said, well, and then I see the 2 arms grab it, boom, and it's like perfect. I said, that could only be Elon. I called, he said, that was me. So think of it. This guy is campaigning. He is actually campaigning for me in Pennsylvania.
Right.
He thinks that my winning, and a lot of people love him. I mean, he is, you know what he did with that Starlink, how he helped North Carolina
Yes.
It was huge.
and Georgia.
So grateful.
I mean, they had no communication.
I was there.
He had it there in record time. I called him. I said, could you do... They asked me, do I know him? Yes, I know him. He gave me the nicest endorsement, really, of anybody.
So, Mr.
Having his endorsement meant a lot.
So, Mr. President, we got some viewer questions.
Yeah.
They wanted to set it up for you. Ainsley has the first one.
Well, okay, so this is, she was watching the show yesterday, Paula. She lives in Claxton, Georgia.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've heard of the Claxton Fruitcake Company,
I have.
the largest fruitcake company in the world.
We
I
get it
think.
every Christmas.
Yeah, they sell them Walmart and all
There is
kinds
no
of
number
Sam's
10.
store.
I want one immediately.
So she's part of the family that produces these fruitcakes, and she had a question for you.
Yeah.
Here's Paula.
Good morning, President Trump. My name is Paula Parker Claxton. My family owns a wholesale and retail fruitcake bakery in Claxton, Georgia. When you're elected President of the United States, what plans do you have to curb the rising cost of operating a small business, inflation, and labor costs?
I'm going to get your energy down to the lowest it's been. We're going to get it down by 50% immediately. Those ovens that you use are going to be half price. You will be so happy because I'm bringing it down with energy.
You're going to allow gas
energy, and we're going to allow gas stoves, all the gas stoves you want. That's the other thing. They're restricting all the good stuff.
Yeah.
They're restricting it. You're going to have a beautiful gas stove, and you're going to have, mark my words, your energy costs will be 50% down. That's going to bring everything else down. You're going to love Trump.
Terrific. You know, Mr. President, that event you were at last night raises millions of dollars, a lot for, you know, Catholic schools here in the New York City area. We've got a question from Anthony in Wisconsin, a swing state, and it's about school choice. Listen to this.
I am Anthony from Appleton, Wisconsin. I have high-functioning autism, but my autism means I am only allowed to go to public schools that teach things and promote things against my values and faith. This makes life hard and confusing. When you become president, what can you and J.D. Vance do to help other students like me to have a choice of schools?
School choice.
Well, thank you very much. And it's all about school choice. You know, that's one of the biggest things on my platform. It's about school choice, and it's also, we're going to get it out of Washington. If you look at our schools, we spend more per pupil than any other country. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, I hate to say this, China, can you believe? Top 5. They have great school programs. We are number 40, which is sort of like at the bottom of the list. We spend more per pupil than we're moving it all out of Washington, and we're going to let the states run the schools. So you give the schools to Iowa, they're going to be another Norway. It's going to be great. You give them to so many different states. Indiana, they're dying to do it. They can do it for less than half, and you will have those states competing with the best.
Get rid of the Department of Education.
It's going to go. And every building in Washington, you know, you go by Department of Education. I'm going to have one person working there, maybe with a secretary. I don't mean a secretary.
You want it all to be local now.
A stenographer. Because we want to make sure they're teaching English, right? Let's say reading, writing, and arithmetic.
None of the books.
Not transgender. We're not going to be heavy.
What about our history?
Right. Well, and
all of that. Absolutely.
Mr. President, the key about school choice is there are a lot of people who would love to be able to take the money that they put into taxes and put it into a different school, not the public school, but the Catholic school, the private school.
Like Arizona.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, we got a question.
And you're on board with that.
School choice is one of the most important things we're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
Because we have the worst. Think of it, out of 40, we're number 40. And yet we're number 1 when it comes to spending per pupil. Does that sound good?
Well, there's a bill that just passed the Ways and Means Committee. You know, it could pass in your first 100 days as president. It sounds like you'd sign it.
I would sign it. Anything to do with school choice, also. But also, separate from school choice, we're going to take the Department of Education, close it. I'm going to close it. We'll have one person, could be you if you decide to retire.
Okay.
Mr. President, here's what bothers me.
Central casting.
Here's what bothers me about that. So let's say you have a liberal city, let's Los Angeles, San Diego, and they just decide we're going to get rid of that history. We got new history. This is America built off the backs of slaves on stolen land. And that curriculum comes in.
Then we don't send them money. We would save half of our budget.
Okay.
And we're going to send. But if they want to do that,
because you do lose control when you go low.
Well, we've lost control. We're number 40. We're last on the list. We're the worst there is, and we spend more money than. And a lot of states, look, you know what's going to happen. The states that are well run now, like, I don't want to say specifically but you take Indiana. It's so nice. No debt, everything is good. Our beautiful Iowa, right, that I win every time. Take every one of those states. So let's say out of the 50, we have close to 40 like that. Then you have the laggards run by guys like Gavin Newsom, who is, you probably won't do as well there, but there you have to watch it a little bit more.
Right.
But no, if they want to get cute, then you don't send them the money.
So, Mr. President, we got a question from my home state of Texas. This is Don. He has a question about accomplishments.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Don Albright. I live in Katy, Texas. My question is, what is something that you did not accomplish in your first term that you would like to accomplish in this term?
Well, you know, we had a great first term. We had the greatest economy we've ever had. We had the strongest borders we've ever had. We rebuilt the entire U.S. military. Unfortunately, they gave a lot of it to Afghanistan in one of the worst times ever. I think the biggest thing for me in terms of government is great people. I had great people. I had a lot of great, like Bob Lighthizer and Trent. We had great people. But I had a couple of clinkers that I would not want again. And I didn't know, you have to understand, I was there 17 times in my entire life. All of a sudden, I'm president. I'm saying, wait a minute. And people are recommending different people. Of the people, usually we got it right, but there were some ones that we didn't get right. I now know everybody in Washington. I think it's been enforced. I know people in Washington that nobody ever heard of.
Now you'll be the most experienced president.
I think I'll be the most experienced guy. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the dumb ones, the smart ones, the loyal ones. Right. The people that want to.
What about the list of the dumb ones? Let's hear that.
Oh, I give you a list.
All the people that were involved.
Most of them are the people that I fired. You know, when you fire, you know, Biden has never fired anybody. Never. He should have fired a lot of generals and a lot of people for Afghanistan, as an example. I took out ISIS. I promote people. I beat ISIS. It was supposed to take 5 years. It took 1 month. I did it in 1 month. We have unbelievable generals. We have unbelievable military, but not the guys like Milley that you see on television all the time. We have great people.
Are those generals fired when you're there? Because some of the people involved with Afghanistan are still
almost
dead.
every person that speaks badly of me. Look, firing, I know a lot about firing. When you fire somebody, you can do it nicely and take a year and just, you know, not working out, blah, blah, blah. I've done that. And I've done it. Get out, you're fired. Get out. And I
saw that on TV.
But can I tell you, I did quite well. So I've done it always. You know, at the end, when you get fired, you get fired. It doesn't matter. You might as well just do it quickly. And then if you're famous, like me, they read a book. Right. Because the sleaze bags come out and they offer them $1 million to write a book. And then sometimes they'll say, I want to make it good. No, we're not interested in a good book. We're only... So I end up with more books than, you know, I just end up... And I end up with... It is true. If Bush fired somebody... Nobody cares about Bush. They couldn't care less about Bush. I think you do. You're like, oh, you like Bush.
Yeah. I do.
I'll use it. Let me use it differently.
Are you like W? You guys get along?
He's fine. Well, yeah, but I disagreed with what he did so much.
Right.
I just disagreed with.
So
I disagreed with what
but
got us into the Middle East. We spent $10 trillion. We got nothing. So except death.
So you like kids? Here's a 10-year-old from Tennessee. He has a question for the 45th president.
President Trump, I'm Daniel, and I'm 10, and I'm from Tennessee. What was your favorite president when you were little?
Who was your favorite president when you were little?
So I liked Ronald Reagan. I thought he was... look, I didn't love his trade policy. I'm a very good trade. I've made some great trade deals for us, the USMCA. That wasn't his strength, but he had a great dignity about him, Ronald Reagan. You could say, there's our president, more than any others, really any of the others. Great presidents, well, Lincoln was probably a great president, although I've always said, why wasn't that settled? You know, I'm a guy that, it doesn't make sense. We had a civil war.
Well, half the country left before he got there.
Yeah, but you'd almost say, like, why wasn't that? As an example, Ukraine would have never happened, and Russia, if I were president. Israel would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They wanted to make a deal. I told anybody buys any oil from Iran, you're finished. You know, you can't deal with the United States. Nobody was buying oil from Iran. They came. They wanted to make a deal. Now they have $300 billion in cash. Biden has been, and her. I don't know if she was involved in it, but she's terrible. Hey, look, remember this. She was the border czar. She never went there.
Right.
She was the border czar, and the Border Patrol. The one thing you have to remember, the Border Patrol gave the strongest endorsement that anybody's ever seen. He's the best there is. There's never been. He's the greatest president, the greatest at the border. And she's terrible. That was their policy. And these guys are great, by the way. These are great. You know them very well from the show.
Oh, yeah.
We got the best endorsement, and that really says it all. And I think the border is a bigger thing than inflation and the economy. You know, I watch your polling where it says the economy and inflation at number 1, 2, and then it says, always says, like the 3. I think the border is bigger. I got elected in 2016 on the border. I did a great job. I couldn't even mention it after that because nobody cared because it was fixed. We had a great border. Then they blew it, and I have to do it again. The difference is it's much worse this time.
Right.
because they're allowing millions of people into our country that shouldn't be here.
So, Mr. President, we got a fun one.
But
for
we'll
you.
fix it.
We got a 6-year-old from Massachusetts, and he wants to know about your favorite animal. Let's watch.
Mr. President, my name is Briar. I'm 6 years old. I live on a farm in Massachusetts. What's your favorite farm animal?
Favorite farm animal?
What's the animal?
Well, this guy grew up in the city.
I'll tell you what I love. I love cows. But if we go with Kamala, you won't have any cows anymore because you're not allowed. I don't want to ruin this kid's day. But I love cows. I think they're so cute and so beautiful and so protective. But according to Kamala, who's a radical left lunatic, you will not have any cows anymore. So we have to vote her out. If you like cows, you have to vote.
I know. Mr. President, I got a question for you. Either today or tomorrow, you're going to McDonald's. You're going to be working the fryer. Are you going to wear the paper hat?
I'm going to do everything. I tell you what.
You're going to do it.
A friend of mine
He is
owns
going to do it.
McDonald's someplace. Oh, I'm going. Because she lied.
You don't think she ever worked at McDonald's?
I know she did. We checked it out. Unless somebody comes up with something. We checked it out. They said she never worked here. She even picked the store. We went to the manager. The manager's been there forever. You remember her? No, she never worked here. They know. Okay.
No,
So will you wear the paper hat?
No, she won't. And you know who else stopped talking about it? The press. If I said I worked at McDonald's and it turned out not to be true, this
the biggest story
the
ever.
front page of that stupid New York Times, the worst paper. It is the worst rag. The New York Times is the worst, most. They would have me front page for months. Nobody, I can't get any. That's why I have to do it myself. That's why I'm doing it.
So you're going to get trained and you're going to make French fries.
Well, I don't know how much the training will be.
Not too much salt.
It's not going to be. Oh.
Just not that much.
I love that show.
I don't know how you do it. You were at the barber shop yesterday in the Bronx. You did the Al Smith dinner last night. You probably didn't get home until 1 or 2 in the morning. And
you know what else I did?
And then you're here.
What? I got in. Okay, this was a crazy day. We did your thing. I did 5 other things. And then on top of it, I came back and I was really, really like tight because I'm the keynote speaker at the Al Smith. So what happens is I said, let's go. I want to go. Sir, you have an interview with Tyrus. He's a large guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Is he a great guy? And
He's a great guy.
very smart guy.
He is great.
And he's been so good to me. And he said, listen, there's no election here. You're going to win this thing in an election. And he's been saying that for a long time.
Yes.
Whenever they talk about, he's funny. Whatever, and Gutfeld is great. You know, he didn't like me originally, and then he said,
well, I don't
gets
like
everything
Gutfeld,
done.
but you can like him.
Do you not like me?
He
No,
likes
he's great.
him. Yeah.
But he had the
They're like
highest,
brothers.
He had his highest rating in the history of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're proud of him.
But Tyrus, he has a website, and he said, would you do my show? So like 2-3 weeks, I agreed. So I came home. I'm running because I'd like to at least see my speech, you know, like before I get up before all these killers. And I'm running, and Sir Tyrus is waiting for you. Oh, and I have to put on a tuxedo. In theory, white tie, but a lot of people didn't have white tie, but they had tuxedo. And I'm running in, and you know what I did? Rather than saying, Tyrus, I can't make it, I said, let's go, Tyrus, let's do a quick one. So I knocked it out. That was a busy day.
Well,
You're going to be
He's a
back
great
on
guy.
He's great.
He's a great guy.
And Mr. President, you're going to be back on the campaign. Actually, you got another event to go to. So
Yeah, he's
thank you
very
for giving
busy.
us some
So thank
time.
You know what
so
the
much.
event I have now?
No.
A very big event. I'm going to see Rupert Murdoch.
Okay.
That's a big event. I don't know if
That's
he's
important.
thrilled that I say
Please,
it.
please tell
And
him
I'm
we
going
all
to
said
tell him.
thank you.
I'm going to tell him something very simple because I can't talk to anybody else about. Don't put on negative commercials for 21 days. Don't put them, and don't put on their horrible people that come and lie. I'm going to say, Rupert, please do it this way.
Right.
And then we're going to have a victory because I think everyone wants to have
And
a
you're
victory.
going to
Outkick
Outkick.
to
It's
talk
it's
to
a
him.
great channel that we have with Tyrus.
Oh, good.
There you go.
All right, Mr. President, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
A flood of illegals, skyrocketing prices, global chaos, and Kamala wouldn't change a thing.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Nothing will change with Kamala. More weakness, more war, more welfare for illegals, and even more taxes. Only President Trump cut middle-class taxes, and only President Trump will do it again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Here I am, again in this city, with a fistful of dollars. And baby, you better believe I'm back in the New York groove.
amazing. I love the internet.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Seeing red, so don't push me. Ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels.
Have you seen Garfield?
What is that?
I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit.
You got geese dancing. You got cats dancing. You got Trump dancing. What is happening?
If I give you one message to hold in your hearts today, it's this. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. You must keep pushing forward.